Symbols in mediumship. How to recognize symbols, how to interpret symbols, what they are, and also some tips on how you can practice your own personal symbolism, how you can practice to recognize it and expand your knowledge about your own personal symbolism. That's in today's video. Hello, it's me, Regina, and this is Mediumship focused video. And like I was saying, it's about symbols. First thing that is important to know that there are two types of symbols that are used in communicating with the dead, or maybe more precise would be to say, more correct would be to say, the way that spirits communicate with us. Um, Before I get to those two, I just want to touch a little bit on this symbolism in general, just to tell you that when we communicate with spirit, and when we can use our voice to do that, and we can use our thoughts to do that, because spirits do not have the physical body anymore. They can't necessarily use their physical voice to communicate back, so they are using other ways to communicate back. And depending on what kind of senses we are naturally are naturally our like dominant senses, we might hear, we might see, we might feel, we might know what spirit is saying. At times, what spirit says, we might hear it and can hear it directly, straight to the point. There's nothing left for interpretation. However, at times, what we receive from spirit can come in a form of symbols. And now we are getting to these two types of symbols, or the meaning of the symbols. There, when we receive something, that the message that is symbolic, then one of the meanings could be a general meaning. Let's say we get a mother. Now, when we think generally about mother, what do we think? It's nurturing, it's comforting, it's warm, would be the first, some of the first kind of associations with mother. The other meaning of the symbols would be personal. Now, for each one of us, let's continue with the example of mother. For each one of us, the mother means something different, like from our personal experience. For some of us, what we experience with our mother might be exactly what the general meaning is. But for some, and many, in fact, that experience with their mother is not necessarily what the general meaning is. And then for people who don't have that experience, what the general meaning of the mother is, they're like when they get a symbol, when they get mother as a symbol from spirits, how they interpret it might become completely different from those who have experienced, who have that personal experience of this nurturing, warm, loving mother. So just to give you, just this is just to give you kind of the general idea between, like, what's general meaning and the personal meaning. So when we receive messages from spirit, first, an important thing is to remember that we are like a phone. We are like a phone between those in spirit and those who are alive receiving messages. That's if we are being like a medium. So the first and most important thing is to uh, give the messages that we receive from spirit, give them exactly in a way we received them, especially when we are not quite sure what it means. To give it to the receiver, to the person still alive, um, because we got to remember that in when if we are a medium, the middle person in the communicating with the dead and the alive, then the person who is receiving the message also has their own meaning to things. Like something that the spirit is showing might make no sense to us, but it might make sense to the person receiving it. And then, if the receiver doesn't know what it means, they are confused, that is when we can, they don't recognize what the spirit is trying to say. That is when we can bring in our expertise of symbolism, like to see what comes up for us, to us asking spirit for more information, um, and some kind of explanation about what they said, what they are trying to say. And that is often when, like I said, that is often when that we and our expertise of symbolism can come in and will come in. So, just to give you kind of an example, everything, each situation is different and each communication is different. Like, for example, when somebody comes to me and they just want to connect with anybody in spirit, anybody who is there, like they don't have a specific kind of person they want to connect with. If I, for example, see my grandma, then that tells me that that person who came to me for a session, grandma, is coming in. Like, first I get that like I get the spirit coming in, but then with that spirit coming in, I see my grandma, and I know, like, that's a sign for me that it's somebody's grandma. So uh, um, what else would be the example? Like, if I see, if there's something, if spirit is trying to say something that, like, the person who came for a reading, like, they should not do it, or should not go there, or like there's some danger or something like that. I usually see like a round, like the spirit usually shows me this round, like a sign with a red around and a cross in the middle. I mean, I keep seeing, like, most of the time that's what spirit shows me. It's kind of like, not everybody, like, if those in spirit would be still alive, I don't think they would all necessarily show me that kind of sign in real life. But there's somehow, like, this symbol thing kind of has worked into my practice, so that that is what I'm getting every time from spirit when there's something that we shouldn't do. So I'm just describing kind of to you, hope you get it, what I mean by that, because I'm just trying to show, how it could be, but it's just one example. There are countless of them and different for everybody. So yeah, now we're getting to the part of the practice part. What you can do is to practice your own symbolism, to recognize, to see what kind of symbolism is gonna be working for you in your life mediumship experience. Is you could start with, you know, doing something like a meditation, you know, get in a quiet place and be quiet, get into that, like physically in a quiet place, and then quieting your mind, and then calling in people in spirit that you know of. And ideally, you know, if you can gather, like, I don't know, get a list of people that are like your family members, even if it is somebody who you've maybe never even met in real life, like great grandfather or something like that. And then people who maybe are you know, you know of them, or you know, it's like your friends, your somebody from your friend's family, even if you didn't know them in person, but you could think of them or call them in one by one, not all together, but one by one. And then notice what is it that you are getting once they come in. And maybe you're not gonna, you know, maybe you're gonna think or feel like you're not getting anything. However, pay attention to everything you are feeling, everything you are sensing, maybe thoughts that are coming in, or visions, or whatever it is. You know, pay attention to everything and write down what are you getting with each person, and try to see, like, distinguish first, maybe also, you know, what's the difference if it's a male spirit or a female spirit. See what's the difference if it's like a younger person or younger spirit, or older, if it's a relative or not relative, it's a close relative or not close relative, or you know, try to distinguish those, like see what's the difference is, and see if there is, you know, usually there is. See if you can recognize there is some you know, connection between them. There's like a theme for each sort of a category. And then go deeper into some situations. Ask them something about their experience, or like what's happening now, where are they now, or ask for some memory from this lifetime, and see what comes up, and see how it comes up, like if it's direct or there's something that's symbolism. And usually, you know, it's easy to kind of distinguish. If it's a direct, straight to the point, then you won't wonder. But if they're giving something that you don't know right away what exactly it means, and most likely there's some symbolism involved. So play around with it, you know, just see what comes up, and write it down, and pay attention to like everything that comes up, because maybe something, you know, maybe you have an idea how it may come, but it comes completely different. So pay attention to everything, to details, and writing them down is gonna help you. You know, the more you do it, this exercise, and the more kind of, you know, things you've written down, you can go back and see the patterns that there are. So yeah. That's kind of one thing yet that you can do to practice and see. That's kind of short about symbolism in mediumship. And I'll see you in the next video.